Hey everyone, Rob here. Thank you so much for tuning in. 360 some odd subscribers as I'm making this video right now. Thank you so much for being a subscriber on the channel. You specifically, I know I say it every single video, but you specifically watching this video, thank you for being a subscriber here, and I really appreciate your support. I'm also really enjoying the comments lately. We've been having some really friendly discussions in all of the comments, and it's nice to see some healthy debates on this subject. So if you agree with me, maybe post a comment on some stuff I missed out on. I'm sure I'm going to miss out on a lot of points because there's a lot to talk about between Bitcoin and gold. If you disagree, please voice your opinion down below. We want to hear you. I want to hear you. So I read all the comments. I'm sure you read a lot of comments on here. It's really helpful to have these debates because, asking questions is how we learn. And pointing out top points that we missed out on is how we learn. So thank you for those that want to join the conversation. With that all being said, I'm also not a financial advisor. This is just my opinion. This is financial education based on my opinion. I have to say that disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not advice. Bitcoin versus gold. It can get very heated. On this video, I want to just simplify it. I want to go over the main points of gold, why I'm bullish on gold, and the main points on Bitcoin and why I'm also a fan of Bitcoin. I have this very unique position where I love precious metals and I also love cryptocurrency. I think it's a beautiful concept. And I love to see when people are buying gold with their Bitcoin. I love to see when people are buying Bitcoin with their gold. I'm seeing it actually a lot more common. It's a lot more common lately, which is a beautiful thing. Which is why I was just watching. If you haven't watched it, it's worth a watch, but it got really ego-filled. If you have watched it, I'm sure a lot of people on my channel might have already seen this. It was Peter Schiff versus Anthony Pompliano again. It was a recent kind of, I don't even want to call it a debate. It was just kind of like ego-y, It just had they're like grinning at each other like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm right. And it's like you almost want to get like a stop clock out on Peter Schiff and be like, all right, Peter, 2 minutes. You have the floor. And then 2 minutes is up. And then it's like, all right, Anthony, you got the floor. Here you go, Pomp. And then it's like, I just want to see that instead of them just sitting there just grinning and you don't know what you're talking. It was kind of cringy. Big fan of both of them. Big fan of Peter Schiff. Big fan of Anthony Pompliano. I think they're both very, very intelligent people, and they are voices that you want to hear. The funny thing in all of that kind of, it's not hatred. It's just like it's like ego type thing. They have so much in common. The crypto guys, they got so much in common with the stackers of precious metals like myself. I like to consider myself a crypto guy and a precious metals guy. There is a beautiful middle ground, and we believe in the same thing, and that's decentralized money. We believe in taking the money and putting it back into the people's hands. And that's going to be one of the main points I'm going to discuss in this video. If there is a video to watch all the way through, this might be the one because I know a lot of people have been asking me, what's Bitcoin all about? I know that you're big on gold. I know you're big on silver. I know you're big on platinum. You like precious metals. You also like Bitcoin. What is there to be said about Bitcoin? There are so many people in my comments on my videos talking about it and wanting to make a video on it. With this video, in the future, I'll get into more intricate things like how to set up a hard wallet and all the different, more of the details on a micro basis with Bitcoin in the future videos. On this one, I'm going to paint with a little bit more broad strokes and go over the main points on gold and the main points on Bitcoin. And why, we got a lot of similarities. People buy Bitcoin for the same reason that people buy gold, and vice versa. It's really, they have a lot in common. They also have a lot that's not the same as well. So we're going to go over both. All right. That being said, let's go over gold first. Gold has a market cap somewhere in the 10 trillion range, probably double that, if we're maybe even a bit more, but they say about $10 trillion in market cap worth of above ground gold in the gold supply. It's 10, they say roughly 10 trillion, probably, a bit more than that, because there's a lot of gold in places that, maybe tucked away in vaults or whatever, and we don't know how much gold really is in existence. But we know it's somewhere around 10 trillion. Now it's not going to be like some crazy ludicrous number like hundreds of trillions of dollars like paper currency, but there is a good amount of gold, and it is still a very rare metal at roughly a 10 trillion market cap. Gold is something that we can hold in our hands. It's an investment that you can just hold in your hand. It's real. What's a beautiful thing is when you're seeing somebody that's got gold and it's 10 ounces of gold, they're trading it for, say, 2 Bitcoins, and it's completely taking the bank out of the situation. Because at the end of the day, if we all go to the bank and we say, hey, we want our money back, they won't have it. They wouldn't be able to supply everybody taking their money back. They just go bankrupt like Bank of America did in 2007 before they got bailed out. But gold stands to be that beautiful medium where we can actually hold it. We know that there was labor that it took to get this good. Someone had to go out and dig and mine for it and then refine it and then turn it into this beautiful gold bar, this beautiful 10-ounce bar, and we can tell when we have more of it. Okay, it's like now I have 20 ounces. Okay, now I have 25 ounces. Okay, now I have 30 ounces. Okay, now there's roughly a kilo here of gold. You can tell when you have more of it, obviously, because there's more of that item. It's just the bare bones of money. Now, the bartering capabilities of gold, I'm one of the people that says it's going to continue to be used in barter. Now, a lot of people go, oh, you're never going to buy your groceries with gold. You're never going to buy this with gold. No, but whatever currency that they're using to buy, groceries, I can give them some of my gold for that currency. If I want Bitcoin right now, I can tell you legitimately, if I want Bitcoin right now, I can make one phone call. I can make one phone call and this would turn into Bitcoin. If I want paper currency, I can take one phone call. This gets put into paper currency. If I want it in wherever I want the money to go, it's going to go. And that's what's beautiful about gold. It stands as that medium where you can pretty much trade it for whatever you want. You want a car? It's 20 grand. Buy a decent used car. That's what I see with gold. And I agree with everything Peter Schiff says about gold. The mining stocks thing, I need to learn more about these mining stocks, but with everything going on with COVID, I'm just sticking to gold. Gold is basically like, to me, it's like a savings account, that pays a way better interest rate than anything the banks are going to give you. Eventually, the banks are going to start charging people an interest rate to hold the money, which is like, it's only a matter of time. They already don't give you anything. It's a matter of time before they're like, actually, you got to pay us 2% to hold your money and keep it safe here. Safe. And that's going to make people drive out of fiat currency even more quick. So we're seeing a bump up in gold. We're actually seeing a bump up in Bitcoin. When I go to the right, I'm talking about Bitcoin. The prices of these items are going up because people are starting to not trust the dollar. They're trying to get out of fiat currency. And at least that's my opinion of it. When you're saying things like, oh, there's a coin shortage, there's this, there's that, we're printing a ton of it and just diluting the system of it. If you go to a bar and they give, okay, we're getting out shots of vodka, and then one person pours a bunch of water in a shot of vodka and puts it in like a big glass. It's like, wait, what'd you do with my vodka? Like I can't. What's that? What'd you do to that? It's like we just poured a bunch of money into the system. What's going on? It doesn't make any sense what they're doing. And then giving it down to the commercial banks and multiplying this money, it's just a crazy, crazy scheme going on. And the common ground between Bitcoin, the crypto guys, and the precious metals guys is we're sick of it. We're sick of it. We want the people to be in control of the money. So that's the first point about gold. It has a market cap in the tens of trillions. They're saying it's 10 trillion. It's probably a bit more than that. And nobody really knows exactly how much gold is out there, but we're saying roughly in the 10 trillion range. Bitcoin. So let's take a step away from that. It takes a labor. You got to dig for it. There is more of it. We just have to dig for it. And there's labor that goes into it, into making these bars. And that's why they're valuable. There's intrinsic value based on the rarity of the metal, based on the labor it took to get it. And it is just something you can actually feel, touch, and hold that has been money forever. And that is why gold is money and always will be money in the future. It just is what it is. You know, you're able to actually hold this and feel it and touch it and know that it took a lot of labor to make this item. All right. Sorry, I can rant a bit. You guys know I do these videos in just one take and might get off onto a bit of tangents. But let's go over to Bitcoin now. So with gold, I think you should, if I was going to balance, or I might as well just say where my money is, you know, like a majority base is in silver and gold. The larger majority of my investable income is in silver and gold. I have a percentage of Bitcoin that actually I increased recently. So I have somewhere around 5-10% of my net worth in Bitcoin. I'm not an all-in, you know, Bitcoin only guy. Like, say, I think Anthony might. I don't even know. He might not have any stocks. I think he might be dead set on Bitcoin. But I'm not only Bitcoin. But I have a large amount of Bitcoin, roughly 10% of my net worth. Now, I'm not an advisor. I'm not saying anybody else should be, you know, on my level of it. But I think that if Bitcoin got adopted, it is a far big, more large. This is where I'm going for. It's just a way better performing asset than gold would be. Gold has the ability to perform extremely well, and it might just, if it got adopted, if somebody did a gold standard, you know, if someone decided to back their currency to gold, you know, gold could easily be, you know, tens of thousands of dollars per ounce. And it could, you know, blow up to the upside. So there is major potential to gold, but not nearly the same potential of Bitcoin. Let me tell you why. And you know, I'm a big gold fan. Bitcoin has a market cap of $200 billion, roughly. Did jump recently from about 9,000 to about a little bit over 11,000. Was a little, I think it might have been 8.5, and then now it's about 11, and it was up to like 11.4, 11.3. Right before I shot this video, I think I checked it, and it was $11,100 for one Bitcoin. The market cap is only $200 billion. Now, it's still a lot of money, $200 billion, you know, but when you think about, you know, how much printed money is out there, and also that gold is at roughly 10 trillion, the upside of Bitcoin, if it got adopted and it became a multi-trillion-dollar asset class, you know, or currency, or it's hard to even describe what Bitcoin is because it's such a new thing, but you would consider it, you know, an asset. It could be the best performing asset ever. It has been the best performing asset ever. I mean, like less than, you know, like 10 years ago, we're talking about I think it was what, 10 to 15 years ago, this was like pennies, you know, dollars, $10, $12, $15. And then now we're talking $11,000 for one Bitcoin. A lot of people, they want to talk about the fall from 20,000 down, including Peter Schiff. He really wants to focus in on that. But the truth of the matter is, if you expand that chart out, Bitcoin is one crazy performer. You know, so knowing that market cap is only 200 billion, in my mind, Bitcoin is either a zero or millions of dollars per coin. That's how I see Bitcoin. I see it as like the craziest insurance play of all time. Because if you're right, if Bitcoin does get adopted and it continues to flourish, especially nearing the end of the cycle of making Bitcoin ends at 21 million and we're rapidly approaching that figure. It's getting very, very hard to mine a Bitcoin nowadays. And that's another point I'll get into, how finite it is. But if Bitcoin got adopted, we're talking millions of dollars a coin. Millions and millions of dollars a coin. Because there's only 21 million of them. And if everybody started using Bitcoin, you just see it skyrocket in price. And you'd feel like a genius because, wow, if that happened, everything would collapse. If Bitcoin got adopted like that, you're talking the world markets completely collapsing to it. Because what do you trade on the stock market? You trade dollars on the stock market. You don't trade Bitcoins on the stock market. You trade with dollars. You trade with fiat currency. So if Bitcoin got adopted, it would just mean the end of like all of that. Banks, everything it would be rough. So you're talking, you would be feeling like a genius because everything else of yours got completely decimated while Bitcoin would be through the roof. So it's like the craziest insurance play. And that's why I believe in having a good chunk of it on the smaller side of my portfolio personally. Do I go, I'm all in Bitcoin, my entire net worth Bitcoin? No. The majority of my net worth goes into my business. I'm building a business because at the end of the day, what we want to do is, if they're printing this fake money, this might be a gem. If you watch my videos all the way through, I like to sprinkle in a couple gems, and hopefully it makes it worth the while of listening to my crazy tangents and where I can go on rants. A mentor of mine told me this a while ago, and it's something that really stuck with me. If they have printing presses, and Powell can just poof, Powell, into trillion, poof, Powell, another trillion, poof, Powell, another trillion. He's got his printing press running red hot. Well, the goal, if you want to be someone that's super successful, if you want to be someone that gets ahead of the curve in this world, no fancy piece of paper from some college is going to do that for you. That's not going to do it. What it's going to do it is what will make you get ahead is if you build your own printing presses. This is something that my mentor told me a long time ago. It's like, build your own printing press. Now, how would you do that? Cash flow. If you have a cash flow business, or you got a cash flow property, you have your own printing press essentially. People are always going to need a place to rent. You might eventually in the future, they might be paying you in gold and go, hey, there's, that's would be a lot of rent. That's like 2 years rent. But if you're renting, you might take your money in gold and go, oh, okay, that's rent, or you might take it in Bitcoin and go, boop, here's Bitcoin, or whatever it might be. They're going to pay you with whatever you want for that place to live. We're not on dollars. They're going to pay you with whatever for that place to live because you have your own printing press. Same thing if you have your own business. If you have your own business, people are going to need whatever good it is that you're doing or whatever good it is that you're offering, and then you have your own printing press that whatever currency is being used, you have that printing press that will make that item. For me, it's gold, silver, platinum, palladium. I own Mineral Exchange. That's my business. Make your own printing presses, and that's something I'm still working on it to this day. I have a lot more to do. I'm not any guru and I'm not somebody that's some multimillionaire. I'm not on that level yet, but that's where my mindset is making my own printing press. But that's completely off subject. Didn't want to go on a crazy tangent like that, but I did. With Bitcoin, let's steer back on topic here. You want to have a small amount of it in your portfolio, but you want to have a decent chunk. If you own a whole Bitcoin, remember that there's only going to be 21 million of them. We have over 300 million people just in the U.S. Just in the U.S. When you account for everyone, you're talking billions of people in China. You got 300 million in the U.S. plus. You got all Europe, everyone. 21 million Bitcoins. If you own a whole Bitcoin, and there's people that own multiple Bitcoins, you know, I don't know who, but they do, you know, there's people that own multiple Bitcoins. But if you own one Bitcoin, you're one of 21 million, period. And that is the biggest difference between Bitcoin and gold that I want to point out in this video. The most bullish thing about Bitcoin, and if I was just going to simplify it down to the most definite reason why I'm bullish on Bitcoin, is that it is the only asset that truly hardens over time. Everything else can loosen, you know. Gold is like a faucet that just lets just a little bit out at a time, you know, because they're mining it, you know. Powell and his printing press is like a faucet on full blast, like asking them to up the pressure a bit. You know, it's like, we're at full blast shooting out, like, you know, this stuff could cut through a log, how much pressure is coming out of this faucet, but we need it to go up a little bit more, actually, you know. So their faucet is just like it's like a hydrant on steroids right now. But gold is more of like a leaky faucet where you can mine it, you can get more. But Bitcoin is just completely off. Once they can't mine any more Bitcoin, once they're at 21 million Bitcoin, we're off. No leak, no being able to mine anymore. Finished, period. It's the only asset that hardens over time to being finite and actually deserves. When I say gold is finite, I'm kind of not saying the right word. We say that a lot in the gold and silver business, but really it's like a very, you know, it's like a faucet that's dripping. You can mine more slowly. But Bitcoin, end, period, done. 21 million, that's it. That's why I'm so passionate about having full Bitcoins, because you're one of 21 million. If this gets adopted, you're talking Bitcoin, I mean, easily 100,000 at Bitcoin, but more likely millions. You know, if this really started getting used, you know, by everyone. Could that happen? It's the only thing that elegantly does it at the moment. You know, fiat currency, the can has been kicked so far down the road, I don't see them being able to ever make digital really work. I mean, they're going to try. You know, they're going to try their best, but they're not going to be able to do it like Bitcoin does. And at the end of the day, what Bitcoin really offers is the ability to not have to worry about any bank. Bitcoin is almost like the US Constitution, the way it was originally written and meant, and what it stood for in a currency, you know, where it's like, you guys do your thing. We set you up to be your little government, you know, and you do your job in a very limited way while we have the power, we have control of the money, we have our rights, and you are the limited body that we put in control. It's almost like it's that republic that the, you know, Constitution originally stood for in a currency. And that's why I find it to be so beautiful, because it truly takes the power away from the government having control of the currency. It takes the power away from fiat currency. You know, with gold, on the other hand, I'm huge on the ability to actually hold and store your money. The one thing that I will say that gets me a little bit it bothers me a little bit is you see a lot of people offering, and there's a lot of scams that pop up where they say, we store your gold and we back it, you know, in your IRA or whatever you have it. And there's basically, you know, storage for gold. They charge you like an annual interest rate to hold your gold. And I really don't believe in that, because the scam is a lot of people sell silver, sell gold to be in people's portfolio, but then it might not actually be in the vault. So it worries me when people say, well, what about a gold-backed cryptocurrency? I go, you know, it could work, you know, but there would have to be Extreme levels of trust, because whenever you give somebody too much power, you give somebody an inch, they take a mile. Look what we did. We gave the Fed an inch, and said, all right, we need you to be in control of the money, take care of us, do the right thing. And we got Powell poofing money up like nobody's business, So if we give somebody the power to hold our gold and we back it to digital gold, well, it could work, but that person might get carried away with the power of having the gold in that vault, whereas Bitcoin is just value on its own. Bitcoin could be a situation where it's like, this is our Bitcoin, and once you own a Bitcoin, you have a Bitcoin. That's it. So the argument is it's not backed to anything, and the argument for Bitcoin is that it's not backed to anything. You see how that is kind of a two-edged blade there? It's beautiful, but it's also scary at the same time, because the overall reason for Bitcoin is that it's, we don't trust you, period. That's the best way for me to really break down Bitcoin, is we don't trust you, period. We don't trust you to hold our gold. We don't trust you with your paper currency. We don't trust you, and you. We are Bitcoin. That's it, period. We don't trust you. We want all the power to the people. We don't want you storing any of our money anywhere. We want to be able to store it in our own hard wallets, and we want to be able to transact person to person without any middle ground. So that is the elegance of Bitcoin, and it could also be the downfall of Bitcoin, because it is not backed to anything other than the fact that it is a Bitcoin. Now, it took labor to make a Bitcoin. It takes a lot of electrical costs, a lot of computational costs to make a Bitcoin. So there's that. So there is intrinsic value to Bitcoin, despite what a lot of people might say, because I'll tell you right now, if you haven't looked up Bitcoin mining operations, go after this video, go to YouTube, after you watch the Future of Money playlist and the fractional reserve banking video at the end of this, or whenever you want, I'm just kidding. But if you look up on YouTube, cryptocurrency mining, Bitcoin mining, you will see how much money people put in Bitcoin operations. It's insane. There's some mining operations that'll blow your mind, like in caves and stuff. They go way out of the way for this. So yes, there is mining operations for Bitcoin. And yes, it does have intrinsic value. Now, is it backed to gold? No. Is it backed to any, hard, item like that you can actually hold that's tangible in your hands? No. But it does have intrinsic value. It's this new unique asset class that it's just it's almost like the world doesn't know what to do with it yet. It's just like, this is insane. It's a completely new thing. And that's why I believe in holding Bitcoin. And if you can own a full Bitcoin, if you are capable of putting 11 grand somewhere, if your net worth is, 100, 200 grand, and this isn't advice, this is just what I did. I think it's worthwhile for me personally. I have to catch myself, because I guess the advice thing is a little bit of a sketchy ground, because I'm not a Series 7, I'm not an advisor or anything like that, but I believe in having 10% of my portfolio in Bitcoin. It used to be 5%, I bumped it up to 10% recently, because it just has so much upside, so much upside. And if it does go to 100K a Bitcoin, well, then I can literally use that Bitcoin to buy gold and put that money into gold. I could use that money from Bitcoin to buy whatever. Vice versa with gold. If gold blows up, I can buy Bitcoin with it. So they're both beautiful things. They both are hedges against hyperinflation. They're both hedges against the crazy fiat currency system. So if anything from this video, I want to be an advocate for both. I think that they both have their place in my portfolio. I have much more precious metals than I do Bitcoin, because I believe Bitcoin is far more volatile than precious metals. But I do have a large amount of Bitcoin. Do I have more Bitcoin than I have cash? I feel like it's pretty close. It's pretty close at this point, because I have to have some cash, obviously, for the business and stuff, but I don't trust the banks right now. just point blank. And Bitcoin is something that I see going up in value, especially during a time of not being able to trust, how much money that they're printing. Now, I think you've had enough of me ranting on this subject. I recently watched that Anthony Pompliano and Peter Schiff thing. I don't want to call it a debate. It was just kind of like this ego match, but they're both very intelligent individuals and I love listening to both of them. But that is my take on Bitcoin versus gold. I think that Bitcoin has a place. I think that precious metals has a larger place in my personal portfolio. But Bitcoin has a good chunk of my portfolio, and I'm bullish on Bitcoin. I'm bullish on it. I think Bitcoin could easily double, triple, quadruple, go to 100K to a million. See, the upside on Bitcoin, it's like whenever you take a risk, you do that risk reward, you know? And the reward on Bitcoin far exceeds the risk of being wrong and losing that money. Because if you're right, the reward is insane. And if you're wrong, you know, you can, if I lost 10% of my net worth, I'd be bummed, but it wouldn't feel nearly, this is the best way to put it. For me, it wouldn't hurt nearly as much to lose 10% of my net worth, as bad as that sounds, than it would hurt to miss out on 1,000% plus gain on Bitcoin. If I sat on the sidelines knowing what I know about Bitcoin, I would be very bummed out if it exploded and I decided to not have any in it. Much more bummed out than if I lost that initial investment into Bitcoin. That's my video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, we're a bit over 360 subscribers on the channel, and I appreciate every single one of you for being a part of this page. It inspires me to keep making these videos, you know? Seeing friends that are reposting this, people I don't even know reposting this, and like putting it on their social media and stuff, saying, hey, watch this video. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm just super humbled by it. And, I really appreciate all the people that are having these great discussions down in the comments below, and just all the support that I'm getting. I wasn't expecting that when making this channel. And, you know, I just have a lot on my mind during this crazy pandemic that we're in, all this craziness going on, that it's like, I just wanted to set up this little Joe Rogan mic, you know, and just talk, you know, and just put some stuff out there. So that's it. That's the video. Thank you so much for listening to my tangent on Bitcoin versus gold. I am a big fan of gold. I am a big fan of silver. I'm a big fan of precious metals, and I love Bitcoin too. So hate me or love me, that's where I stand. Thanks again. See you at the next video. Signing out.